Hi, today I'm going to talk about basic glazing techniques. I'm going to walk you through the steps of beginning glazing every piece that you do, talk a little bit about the glaze, and then I'm going to show you a single dip, a half and half, and glazing the inside and outside of a piece. So the first thing you want to do to any piece when you get ready to glaze is you want to wax the bottom. And not necessarily just the bottom, but any part of your piece that sits on the flat surface. So if you had something that came down, you would want to wax the bottom of that too, because otherwise it's going to stick to the kiln shelf. So I'm going to take the wax resist and I want to carefully wax the entire bottom of my bowl. I'm even waxing the inside of the foot because I don't want glaze to drip off that and stick. Now here's the thing about wax resist, is anywhere that you get the wax, you're not going to get glaze. So I don't have to use a lot of wax, and in fact, if I use too much, it might drip down the side, and then I would never be able to put any glaze there, which would be sad. So I'm gonna paint around. You notice I'm painting slightly up the outside. Some glazes are drippier than others, and I want to give the glaze a little bit of room to run. So you want to come up the side. On a bowl like this where you have a foot, it's really easy to see. If you don't have a foot, you can come up just under a 1/4 inch up the side and wax it just like that. Okay, so the whole bottom has been waxed. This bowl is ready to go. Let's talk about mixing glazes. Okay, so I'm going to get this glaze ready to use. This is golden brown. And what I want you to know about glazes is they are suspensions, not solutions. So you can probably see that there's a layer of water on top of the glaze chemicals that have kind of sunk down to the bottom. So every time you use a glaze, even if somebody just used it, it's a good idea to mix it up. This one nobody's used in a while, so I want to mix it really well. You have two options. You have our drill here with this little mixer tool on the end, or if the drill is a little scary, you could use a stick. A stick works just as well, you just have to use it for a little longer. So when you're using the drill, you want to put it most of the way. I touch the bottom and then lift it up just a little. Try not to have the drill touch the bottom or the sides of the bucket because it tends to shave off little pieces of plastic. So I'm going to lift it up just a little bit and start slow. After a while, I can lift the drill a little bit. See the color is starting to mix up. And move it around. Once it gets a little thicker, then I can make the drill a little bit faster. You can feel with whatever you're mixing, either the stick or the drill, to make sure that you've got no chemical sitting on the bottom. So that's pretty well mixed. Now I can double check how well mixed this is. Can take my finger, dip it in, and look at the coating. As you can see, the coating on my finger is really nice and even. Let's say I've got a glaze that is not well mixed. When I dip my finger in there, I don't know if you can see that, that's really watery, okay? So that way I know the glaze is ready to go. The first glazing technique I want to show you is a single dip. One thing you can use is the tongs to dip with. The tongs are great for some shapes. This one, maybe not. So you can either grasp it with the tongs, dip in and out, or if it works better, you can hold it just with your hand. So for this one, I can actually just stick my finger there. I want to go straight down and straight out. Notice I've already got the wax on the bottom of my piece and the glaze is all mixed up. So I'm going to go straight down. I don't want it in there for too long. And I'm going to lift right out. Okay? I want to let any drips fall back into the bucket and wait for the glaze to dry. Now that doesn't take very long, only about 30 seconds. And you can see the glaze is drying when it gets this powdery finish on it. So now I'm going to show you a glaze technique called the half and half. Even though it's called half and half, I don't have to split exactly down the middle of my bowl here. I can do a third and 2/3, a fifth and 4/5, however you want to do it. So I've picked 2 different glaze colors, and I've made sure they're both well mixed. Got the wax on the bottom of my bowl, and this is really easy because all you have to do is hold one side. You're going to go ahead and dip it straight down. Do a little more than half. Make sure any drips go back in the bucket. Then I wait for this to dry, and I'm going to do the other side, the other color. Okay, so we're going to do the other half of the half and half. So just hold it, and you want to just make sure that both on the inside and the outside that you get all the way to the other glaze. And you can overlap them a lot, or you can overlap them a little bit. The funny thing about glazes is 1 + 1 does not equal 2. You may find you have a surprise where they overlap. And then the most important thing is, even though I wax the bottom, you can see that there's still glaze there. It's still beading up. So I can take a sponge and just wipe up any glaze that is still on the bottom. For something like a mug or a vase, I might want to do the inside and outside a different color. So this is how you do that. You're going to want something to scoop up the glaze with, and have your 2 colors ready mixed, bottom wax. So first you're going to do the inside. You do the inside first, so if you have any drips, you can wipe them up if you choose, or you can choose to love the drips. So I'm just going to fill the inside almost to the top. I can kind of swirl it around a little bit and pour it out. And that's really all there is to the inside. You can see I got a little bit of splashing, and I can just take a damp sponge and just wipe that up. If you have a lot of mess and you have to really wash the outside, wait till the next day to do the outside of your piece, because damp clay doesn't absorb the glaze as well. So now for the outside, I can hold this. I probably want to hold this with the tongs. I can choose to hold it with my fingers. If you hold it with your fingers, just know that you're going to have finger marks to touch up. I really want this to go in absolutely flat. If I have it at an angle, the glaze is going to get inside. But if I hold it flat, then the air inside will stop any glaze from going in. So here, I'm going to just dip down and straight back out. And let it drip and dry. So after you've done one of your 3 basic types of glazes, there are several things you can do to make it just a little bit fancier. One nice thing you can do is called a rim dip. This is great on mugs, vases, bowls, pretty much everything. So I've already got my glaze on my piece, and I'm just going to hold onto it and dip it into another color. Again, keep it nice and flat so the air inside stops it from really getting in there. And how far you dip is up to you. Don't get it too near the bottom though, because the thicker your glaze is, the more likely it is to run, and you don't want this to run everywhere. So I'm just going to go in and give it a little rim dip, and that will add a touch of another color to the top of my piece. Another way you can bring attention to certain parts of your piece is to do a brushed accent with another glaze. So here I've mixed up my gray-green slate. I can do this standing at the bucket, or if the glaze area is really busy, you can take a container and you can scoop a little bit of the glaze you want and go sit at the tables to do this. The most important thing is, if you do this, make sure that when you're done you remember which glaze it was, so you can pour it back in, and please wash out your cup. So I'm going to brush some accents onto here, and literally it's as easy as just brushing the glaze on where you want it and not getting it too thick or too gloppy. But you also don't want it so thin that nothing happens. So brush it on. Simple as that. Now, whenever you're done with any kind of glazing, you need to make sure that you're cleaning up properly. So that means always, always put the lid back on the glaze. If you made any mess, please wipe it up and wash out your tools, any cups, any brushes. Your pieces, after you've glazed them, will go on the glaze shelf ready to be fired.